Hello and welcome to Crimes of the Heart Tarot. I'm Miss Vicki, and I'm going to use the tarot to see if we can gain more insight into unsolved mysteries, deaths, and disappearances. Let's get started. Welcome to Crimes of the Heart Tarot. I'm Miss Vicki, and I'm so glad you're here. Today is February 19th, 2024. I want to revisit the Idaho 4 murder mystery and the imprisonment of Bryan Kohberger as a suspect. Now, this happened November of 2022. Bryan was arrested about 7 weeks after the murders were discovered, murders of the 4 people. He has since been in prison, in jail, I guess. He has not entered a plea of guilty or innocent. The judge entered a plea for him. The little information about evidence that's come out mainly just says, what I've seen, I haven't done a lot of research, I try not to, that he is, I think it was a Hyundai, white Hyundai. They did see a car similar to his parked in the, not sure if it was a parking area or not, right in front of the building around the time of the murders. They did take his cell phone, and apparently he was in the area, according to his cell phone, before and kind of during the time of the murders. Also, I guess his cell phone was turned off at some time. They did take evidence from his room. They said there was a pillow with a brown stain, some gloves, and I think some hairs. None of the evidence has really come out against him. There also was a knife sheath discovered beneath one of the bodies of the victims. There was supposedly, and I say this because no one really knows about the evidence against him, but there is supposedly some DNA on the snap. Not a lot has come out about it. Obviously, the prosecution is not going to play their case before the public until they actually go to trial. No one saw him in the area. It's a very odd murder, I think. Now, Bryan Kohberger, he was 29, I believe, at the time of his arrest. He was a graduate student in criminal justice, teaching at the college there in the area. He was a very odd man. He is a very odd man still, I guess. Very strange. He had some substance abuse problems when he was in high school. He wasn't a social person. He didn't seem to have, I want to almost say he was on the spectrum. I'm going to leave it at that because I'm not a psychiatrist. He didn't know how to interact with people. He was odd. Even his family, I think, thought he was odd. His older sister, apparently, after he was arrested, said she thought he might have been responsible for the murders. Searched his car, didn't find anything. The one thing that bothers me about this, and has bothered me since this first came out, is he was a student of criminal justice. He studied murders, he studied evidence. I think he was teaching, part-time teaching too. He knew how the law worked. He knew how evidence works. He studied serial killers, things like that. He knew all about crimes and how they were committed, and evidence. All of that was part of what he had to study. And he is a smart man. He's not like mentally feeble or anything like that. The one thing that bothers me about this case, and always has, is why would someone who so up on evidence, so up on how murders work, how police procedure works, go into a building where there were, if he had watched them, he would have known the 3 girls that lived there, and their boyfriend was in the house, plus 2 other women. I believe was a 3-story house. It's been torn down. Why would he take a chance on doing something like this? And I'm not trying to analyze his brain or anything. He could be totally bonkers for all I know. And this is all alleged. This is just my opinion of the reading of the cards. It just didn't seem like a smart thing to do if you were going to commit a crime. Now, that doesn't mean, I'm not saying he's innocent or he didn't do it, but it just nags at me. There was another suspect, Bryan Kohberger, I think, who some people thought might have done it. He was a discharged military young man that had been injured and had PTSD and went to, I guess, I don't know if he was shot by the police. He had outbursts of anger and threatening his roommates and things like that. But they ruled him out. The other possibility is drugs. Now, I don't want to defame or blame the victims or anything like that. That area was pretty well known for lots of drugs and lots of parties. And I just wonder if Bryan didn't do this crime, and I'm not saying he's guilty or innocent, because he hasn't had his trial. Could it possibly have been drug related? Well, I want to lay some cards down. And it's such a vicious crime. And also Bryan, as far as I know, he wasn't under the influence of anything when he was arrested. He was arrested at his parents' home. And there just was not a lot of evidence that they've talked about. So I want to lay the cards out. And I want to propose this idea. If Bryan is innocent, and I mean, he looks guilty, let's face it. He's a very odd man, and not declaring a guilt or innocence, and not being socially adept. I believe he possibly stalked one of the girls, which is not so unusual because the girls, not to take away from who they were out there, out and about on social media and everything else. Wouldn't have been that hard to follow them. I want to lay some cards out and just see what the energy is about Bryan having done this crime and possibly drug, I don't know if I want to call them dealers or things like that. I'm going to use the Horror Tarot, which is kind of a strange, it was a terrible, terrible crime. I thought it was really odd that the other two people that lived in the house did hear things. They didn't actually call 911 until noon the next day. They discovered the bodies, which is strange to me. All right, I want to lay some cards down and ask, I want to do this side for Bryan having done the crime, and this is all alleged. This is just an exercise I feel like I will have to do with the card. This side for it being drug related to possibly someone, one or two people on drugs. Nothing was taken as far as I know, burglarized or anything like that. Things here. Okay, let's lay a few cards down. This is going to be Bryan's side. And this is just bothering me. I have been bothered by this, the strangeness of it, for so long. It just seems like an odd thing to do. Okay, these are going to the energy about Bryan doing these murders. And this is the energy, I'm going to put right here, of somebody else having done it. And there were a lot of drugs. Everyone knows that's lived there. Drugs everywhere. And the victims, not to take away from them, trying to find a good way to do this where you can see the cards, partied constantly. They had parties all the time. Police were called. And that's not to say they were guilty or anything. What happened to them was awful. All right, let's just pull a few cards. All right, Bryan. All right. We have Wands. We have the 3 wands. It says you have left. I don't know if you can see these. Left. I have a problem with the lighting. You have left your castle and are now on your journey on a vast open sea, a place of doubt and insecurity, but progress is being made. Well, that's pretty true. I don't know that the Vince is trying to put the trial off. They want to change the venue, which I can kind of see that, but I don't know if that would be worthwhile in such a small area. And they say they have a lot of evidence and stuff to go over. All right, what else do we have here? Okay, let's go with that. He's on a journey. Let's go to the hidden part of this. Courage, confidence, independence, and determination. This is the Queen of Wands. These are really creepy cards, but it was a creepy, creepy crime. All right, the Queen of Wands is a positive, really sexually alluring woman. I believe Bryan was kind of interested in one of the girls. I'm not going to name names, but they were definitely out there where anyone could kind of see who they were, what they were doing. All right. Underneath this, we have the 4 of Wands. This is reunited, reconciled, the monster comes home. Well, this is interesting. This card basically talks about a victory, achieving something, some small victory, which I guess, I don't know that you could call the murders a victory. What's the hidden card that goes with this? All right, we have the 2 of Swords. 2 of Swords. All right, you can't see that, can you? The 2 of Swords. All right, this is not wanting to see something. This is putting something off. Not making a decision. This could pertain to his lawyers. But I want to know about his guilt or innocence. The next card we have is another sword card. This is, let's see the number, 7, I think. All right, this is the 7 of Swords. Now this is an interesting card. This is about being deceived. This is about sneakiness. This is about someone, there's a woman drinking. This is about somebody sneaking around. Let's see what it says over there. Deception, betrayal, pretense. That's interesting. He didn't know these girls. I don't believe he ever actually met any of the victims, except possibly watched them, looked at them online. There's been a lot of evidence that I've heard of, if you have, let me know, about him ever having met any of them. All right, then we have the 7 of Pentacles. Look upon my works. All right, the 7 of Pentacles is a card about reevaluating something you've done. I guess he's thinking things, if he is guilty, and this is all alleged, he's thinking things over. I don't see a lot of guilt in this. I do see Wands and Swords. Someone very deceptive, very sneaky. Very sneaky ideas. All right, these cards now we're going to talk about is someone else possibly involved. I say drug dealers because there are rumors about that. There was a lot of buying and selling going on in that particular house. I'm not going to say by who or by why or whatever. Around that area, it was pretty serious. All right, the first card we have is the 3 of Swords. Now this is heartache. This is terrible, terrible pain. This is 3 people involved. This is terrible heartache. This is basically what happened to these people, these victims. I'm not going to name their names. Heartache. Now we have the Eight of Wands. Change is coming, something in the air. Whatever happened, whatever decision was made quickly. When the decision was made to take these people out, and I don't know who actually was targeted. There were 5 people, at least 5 that lived in that house, 5 girls. 3 were murdered, and one's boyfriend was there spending the night. The other 2 weren't, and nothing happened to them. One claims to have seen somebody totally wrapped up in a hoodie type thing, head to foot, with a mask. The only thing she can recall is bushy eyebrows. That's her quote, that's not mine. Now, Bryan does have somewhat heavy eyebrows, but it's dark. And now we have the Ten of Wands. Who will carry the burden? This almost makes me think that someone was set up. It's Ten of Wands. Heavy, heavy burden. Now we're talking about possible drug involvement. Now we have the Five of Cups. Feeling out in the cold. No love. Only looking at the things that, I'm going to say the bad things that have happened in a person's life. Not looking at the positives. There was lots of positives, but whoever was involved with this only saw the bad things. The Nine of Cups. Alright, the Nine of Cups. This is a single woman. On this particular card. I almost feel like, well, I don't want to say that yet. The Nine of Cups. This is wishes, fantasies, having everything you want. And then the Two of Cups. There's a man struggling with a woman on this card. This is making a decision. You know, this is not clear, obviously, these cards aren't, but I don't see it pointing to Bryan. Now, please don't send me hate mail. I mean, he could have covered his tracks very well. But I don't see him as a sneaky, plotting, planning person. I don't know him. But this side says it happened quickly and there's heartache. I almost feel like it's a love thing. But Bryan didn't know them. And they ruled out all of the women victims' boyfriends and things like that. A few more cards. What's at the basis of this terrible murder? The other strange thing is, and I find it odd, I don't know if you mean odd, but the 2 girls that weren't attacked that night didn't even, now they'd all been to parties and stuff like that, so they probably were under the influence. I'm going to say I don't know the influence of what, but they had been to bars and stuff like that. They didn't call in the murders, call 911 until the very next day, almost noon. They said one of them got up and found the bodies and called 911. That was like, what, 10 hours after this happened? How could they not know that? So I'm kind of getting under the influence here. Now, if they were under the influence, I suppose they wouldn't have answered the door or anything. All right, let's just pull a few more. Well, not answered the door, wouldn't have called 911. All right, we've got the Moon. Here we go again. The Moon could be secrets. This could be giving in to your baser instincts, things that are hidden, things no one really wants to know about. Now, Bryan could be guilty. He hasn't been tried yet. Most people think he is guilty. There was no DNA transfer on him. The evidence that we know about is slim. There was no weapon found. And him leaving and going home with his dad, had done that before. His dad flew out and drove home with him. I'm getting mixed cards here. Suit of Pentacles. This is the Knight of Pentacles. This is a slow-moving knight. Slow and steady wins the race. This is interesting. We're getting slow and we're getting quick. I'm getting two stories here. And then we have the Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups is a happy family, a happy ending. I'm getting two different vibes from these cards. I'm getting a sneaky person. I'm getting deceptive. A victory of some kind, reunited, reconciled. And then I'm getting swiftness, I'm getting heartache, I'm getting a heavy burden, looking at the worst of something, not seeing the good in anything. It bothers me that he actually, as far as I know, didn't know any of the girls. He didn't know the girls that were murdered, and he didn't know the boyfriend. And this was a crime of passion. Vicious, out of control passion. And whoever did this, I don't think was thinking straight. We've got the moon. This can also be mental illness. A lot of people think Bryan is mentally ill. They put everything on him. I'm not so sure. And I don't want a bunch of negative comments. I'll just delete them. I'm just trying to get some readings here from the information. Choices. He wasn't really making choices between the girls. Yeah, as far as I know, he hadn't even met them. He just watched them. And if he did do this, that means he did some planning, obviously, and had observed them. He wasn't under the influence of anything that anybody can say. So for him to just go into the house around, I think it was midnight or 1, with a weapon and attack these people, knowing or not knowing how many people were in there, that just doesn't sound like him to me. All right, let's pull a few more cards. Did Bryan do this? I think I'll just take these out. Did Bryan do this? All of a sudden, he just goes into the house. I've been stalking them. He hadn't met them, as far as I know, as far as anybody knows. Murders 3 of them. He may not have known the boyfriend was there. But he had to have been watching them to know they were there. All right. Let's try the vampire one. I just want to pull a few more cards. It just doesn't seem like, and I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and this is all alleged, it doesn't seem like someone that studies criminal justice. It seems to me like this was somebody who was basically out of control. Out of control, under the influence. Lay a few more cards down. Just a few. Alright, what do we have here? We have Judgment. Alright. This is shiny also, these cards. The Judgment card. This is asking for basically giving somebody a chance, a last chance. These are gruesome cards too. he wasn't really giving anyone a chance because he hadn't dealt with them. Then we have the Three of Swords, heartbreak. Giving someone a last chance. Six of Wands. This is a victory. The Eight of Swords. Feeling trapped. I don't think these cards point to Bryan. Now, please don't send me hate mail. I'm seeing more someone out of control. Crimes of passion here. He didn't even know these people. They looked into the boyfriends. Unless he was totally out of his mind thinking they were romantically involved, which is possible. I don't see it. He had to have been totally out of reality to go into a house where he didn't know how many people were there and start flashing away. A few more cards. This was a crime of passion, of hate, viciousness, not thought out very well. Lots of pain, feeling out in the cold, hurt. We've got the Nine of Cups in reverse. The Nine of Cups is about celebrating a victory. Look at these cards. They're very, very gruesome. Cups can be substances. The Two of Swords. Again, not wanting to make a decision, but putting things off. I don't see him in these cards. Now, it could be the cards are just not cooperating today, and I'm trying to be objective. Then we have the Two of Wands, or the Ten of Wands. But this is in reverse. This is a heavy burden. In reverse, this is trying to get rid of a heavy burden. I don't see that Bryan had a heavy burden concerning these victims. They didn't owe him any money. He didn't owe them any money, as far as I know. He didn't even know them. I'm getting an entirely different person. And here's the moon again. The moon is hidden, something really hidden. It also can mean a little bit of mental illness. It can mean under the influence. I don't know when they're going to have the trial. But I suppose the trial will be fair. He has fairly good lawyers. Whatever the evidence shows, the jury will decide. I'm going to pick just a few more cards and see if I can get a definitive answer about Bryan. I don't see him in the cards. I see somebody that's unorganized, deep secrets, possible. I don't see mental illness as much as under the influence. Lots of pain. A few more cards. These are all in reverse. Alright, let's see what the three reversals are. Ten of Swords. This is overkill. This is a new beginning. In reverse, it's not being able to come back from a terrible thing. This viciousness of this, and the cards backing it up. Nine of Swords. Nightmares. This is somebody that's mentally off, under the influence of something. The Hanged Man. In reverse again. Not looking at things from a new perspective. This is somebody that Has deep, dark secrets. I'm sure Bryan has deep, dark secrets. Full of viciousness. Not in reality, not in the real world. Lots of pain, lots of... I'm not getting Bryan. Now, the evidence may show he's guilty, and this could be an alter ego of Bryan's I'm picking up on. It could be another person that did this. I'm getting related to substance, I'm getting to deep, dark, not thinking clear. Somebody who was under the influence, not mentally capable, not planning. What this could be is, I want to say, an alter ego for Bryan. If this is Bryan, it's almost like he had a double personality. It's the only thing I'm seeing here. And we'll have to see what the evidence shows when they finally do the trial, whenever they do it, or wherever they do it. If he did these crimes, it wasn't the Bryan that you see on TV. It wasn't the Bryan that was a graduate student. It's an alter ego. It's almost, I don't want to say a split personality, but it's a dark personality that did these crimes. Unorganized, angry, vicious. That's what I'm getting. So that's probably not helpful to whether he's guilty or not. Well, I think I'll close the circle. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens with the trial. Thank you so much for watching. I'd like to know what you think. Don't leave bad comments. You just get wiped out with that. I'll just erase you into the ozone. Because I don't want bad comments. I'm trying to find out the energy here. And we will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share. I'm closing the circle now. Bye.